this lady, she was holding a burger up, came running to the truck, and she was like, "Is this vegan?" I was like, "Yes." She's like, "It tastes like meat." I was like, I know, but I promise you it's vegan. Everyone in that line was like, "I'll have a burger." So everyone, it was crazy that,
Oh my God.
vegan foods come this fast.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode on the Changemakers podcast. Today's episode features Priyansh, aka Prunch. He is a vegan Instagram chef who's based in Dubai. And he's actually one of my close friends now, so I'm super excited that I got to record an episode with him and get him on the podcast to share all about his vegan journey and his cooking career. Actually, Priyansh once did a tally on his Instagram, and it turns out most of his followers are actually non-vegans, which is so great that he's promoting really yummy vegan food to a almost non-vegan audience. So yeah, in this episode, Priyansh shares about his experience at COP28, where he hosted plant-based cooking workshops, and he had his Prunch pop-up truck that got so many non-vegans at COP28 eating amazing vegan food. He also talks about his work as a content creator, and actually Priyansh and I recorded this episode last December before Veganuary, so there's a bunch of references to his upcoming work for Veganuary in the episode. So yeah, tune in to hear all about Priyansh's personal and professional vegan journey. I really enjoyed hearing about it, so I'm sure you will too. So without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Priyansh on the Changemakers podcast. Hi Priyansh, and welcome to the Changemakers podcast. I'm so happy to have you here as my guest today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So Priyansh, so we met recently. I think we followed each other on Instagram, and then we met at on World Vegan Day on the event hosted by PXB Lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then we both were on a panel, but separately, and then we met for the first time. Could you give the listeners a little bit more of an introduction about you, what it is that you do, and why it is that you do it?
So, hi, I'm Priyansh. I'm a chef content creator, and I went vegan a little over 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And at that time, it was kind of a joke between me and my friends, like, what do you even eat? And they didn't know, and neither did I, honestly. When I went vegan, I knew nothing about veganism. I had one vegan friend, I used to make fun of her. So it was like, I didn't know anything about it. So I started an Instagram account, and it was only for my friends, and it was a joke account. It was like, here's what I ate today. Here's what I ate today. And then I started cooking on that, and then that kind of like people that I didn't know started following me. And I thought to myself, this is kind of weird. Why are you here? Cool. And then that got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was like, I think the easiest way to make change is like food, because most people just see it as a sacrifice. What's what I saw it as when I went vegan. I was like, I'm not going to be able to eat all the things I love. And once you can show people all the things that they get out of it, and the things that, food can still be delicious, then it's so easy to get people to start thinking about like, hey, maybe I was wrong about this.
That's so cool. So my first two questions that come up with that is about vegan and then also the cooking. So what turned you vegan then 4 years ago?
There were fires in the Amazon rainforest in 2019, and the Amazon is something that I've always felt really connected to. Like as a kid, I would watch every documentary about it. And I was like, one day I really want to go there. Oh, wow. And when I saw these fires, it really broke my heart. And I did some research, and in my head, it just didn't make sense that there would be wildfires in a rainforest. It's not common. While I was reading a lot of articles, I found out that those were man-made fires to clear out land and to push out indigenous communities to then use that for agriculture. And it was overnight. It was pretty much, tomorrow's my birthday, tonight is the last non-vegan meal I eat.
Wow.
And that's it.
Powerful.
I knew nothing. I was like, I'm going to go in. I don't want to be a part of this anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, and the rest is history.
What were you eating before that? Were you...
I was vegetarian.
Okay.
I was actually born vegetarian. So
nice.
So not that difficult of a change.
It was just cutting out the cheese?
It was cutting out the cheese, the paneer.
Right.
Paneer is so hard to give up at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, just dairy in general, because dairy, especially like growing up in an Indian family, dairy is everywhere. It's so hard to not, look at it. And so that was like a big part of cheese. Was so hard as well. I was one of those. Yeah. I was part of the cheese clubs at university. I could smell cheese and I could tell you what it was.
Which kind of cheese?
Yeah, like I could tell you exactly which kind of cheese it was. I was crazy about it. And so that was tough, but I had been vegetarian before, so.
And then you were showing people on Instagram like this is what I eat. And then when did you start cooking yourself? And
I've
yeah.
always cooked.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. Never saw it as a career. I always just saw it as like, this is fun. This is how I share love. You know, when I was in my at university, I would, if I wanted to cook something for myself, I'd just message a bunch of friends. I'm like, I'm hosting a dinner party, whatever. Just come over, because it was easier to cook for 5 people than to cook for 1 person.
Nice.
So I would just go for a grocery shop and somehow end up with so many ingredients. I'm like, okay, need to invite some people over now. So that's how, yeah. But I was always into cooking. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And then creating your own recipes and stuff. When did that come about?
I learned to cook the Indian way from my mom and my grandparents and everyone, which is just like, don't follow a recipe, just use your head, use touch, use smell, all of that. So I've never opened a cookbook.
Wow.
Because
cool.
I had my family around me that should just show me all these things. I'd watch videos and things like that. I watched a lot of MasterChef Australia, a lot of cooking shows, things like that. So that's where I learned techniques and all that. But it was just to build recipes with what you have and what's around you was something I was always taught.
Nice. So how long ago was it that you started the Instagram page and then you started Prunch, basically the brand as well?
Prunch started so that Instagram account started in April 7th, 2019.
Okay.
But it really wasn't a vegan account then. It was just a food account. That was a joke between my friends.
Yeah. Was it username was Prunch already?
It was Prunch. It was called Prunch Stories.
Okay.
Then when I went vegan, it became Vegan Prunch. Then when it got bigger, it became the Prunch Kitchen. And then now it's Prunch Me.
Yeah.
Because Prunch is taken. So.
I feel you. Cool. And then when did you start focusing on really the reels and making that type of stuff?
I mean, we were really late to reels in this region. Reels didn't come until much later than everyone else. TikTok was kind of like blowing up around the COVID era is when I started really getting into this, because that's when. So I was in Australia, and then during COVID I came back, and that's when I had a lot of time on my hands. So I was like, let me start cooking and taking videos. Yeah. If you actually see some of my early videos, they're really embarrassing.
Really?
They're really poorly edited. I used like the craziest filters on them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was just not good.
But it's with cooking videos, it's hard, no? You have to, like, what would be your advice for someone who wants to start out making cooking videos? Like how to shoot it or...
Honestly, shoot stuff just for fun before you really get it. Like, recently I've just been shooting myself make matcha, for example. Yeah. And it's just me making myself a matcha in my room.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of like a creative exercise. How can I make this daily thing fun? You know, how can I make coffee coming out of my coffee machine more interesting? What angles can I use? What angles look good on me? You know, when I'm not looking at the camera. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, just film everything. Film your walk. Try to really get behind the camera, and then see things the way you want to look at content.
Nice. I love that. Because I think it's such a great way to promote veganism is through sharing vegan food. I think if you look at all the people in the space who are promoting veganism, the vegan food accounts have the most following. They're the biggest. Because
it's food. At the end of the day, I don't use the word vegan a lot. I do whenever I need to, and whenever it feels like, you know, if I've made like a ham, I'm gonna have to say vegan ham because the comments are just gonna come. You know, there's no ham. Yeah. But yeah, so
right.
Unless I have to use the word, or unless I feel the need to use the word, I wouldn't use it.
Right.
Because my whole thing is, this is great food that just happens to be vegan.
I love that. Because it's so important. Because what I tended to do a lot in my early days of being vegan is calling everything vegan. A vegan drink, a vegan whatever. And
vegan cucumber.
Yeah. Basically, pretty much. And I've started realizing that I was posting stories, and I'd be like, vegan this, vegan that. And it's basically, it was just a drink that happened to be vegan
already.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it wasn't, you could just say a drink with oat milk or something instead of saying a vegan drink or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So it makes it more normal versus it always
Yeah,
having to be vegan.
makes it more accessible as well, right? Like,
Yes,
people just want to
yes.
make food, and then the second you start putting labels on it,
Yeah.
like I have that same thing when if something's vegan, like a dessert,
Yeah.
and if it's also gluten free,
Yeah.
I'm like,
It doesn't
I don't
sound
know. I don't know if
tasty.
I want that, you know. So I'm also not safe from that sort of like
Yeah,
judgment.
The judgment, yeah.
But if I already knew that, if I didn't know that, and if someone just told me like it doesn't have any allergens, for example, that would sound better to me, maybe.
Yeah,
You know, I'd be
it's
like,
all
okay,
about the mind and marketing.
we already start like having this bias in our head that certain things are not going to
Yes.
taste good because it's not the way we like them.
Yeah, that's good advice as well for people who are marketing their products or something.
Yeah.
And to reach a large amount of people, you just have to, unfortunately, not use the word vegan.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. One question was like, what drives you every day to continue working on Prunch and to work every day?
Oof, that one's a tough one. I feel it's an easy one, but it's tough because that comes from everywhere. I truly love what I do.
Yeah.
I'm really passionate about what I do. And I think having a community really helps. Like, you get to read the comments every day of people being like, hey, I made this for my boyfriend who's not vegan and he loved it.
That's so
You know,
nice.
I made this for my parents and they loved it. I made this for myself. I make this 5 times a week. You know, like, when you read stuff like that and you see that genuinely people like what you're doing and are connecting and are implementing those things in their lives, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people get to do that.
Yeah.
And so we have the ability to be a part of other people's lives by just, hey, I made this thing today. I made this thing. People send me pictures of what they made, and you're like, why?
That's so
Out of
nice.
all the recipes on the internet, you picked this one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna go back in the studio and make 5 more recipes. You know.
I love it.
So yeah, I think seeing that sort of thing really validates what you're doing, and a lot of this is tough. You know, like, content creation is not easy. Doesn't always pay the bills.
Yeah.
But if you see that genuinely people are connecting with you, and if you have a community, no amount of money can make up for a community.
I love that. So you're actually seeing the direct impact that you're having on people.
Exactly.
That's so nice.
Because you can do a bunch of brand deals, and then those brands aren't even available to places where your audience is. So then that just becomes obsolete, right? So we try to do brand deals with brands that you get a lot of. Like, I would do a brand deal with a tofu brand, for example. You get tofu everywhere, right?
Yes.
Like, not that specific brand, but you'll still be able to make my recipe.
Nice.
And so accessibility is at
I like
the forefront
that.
of everything.
Yeah. So you can actually reach people and make it so that everyone has it available. So what's life like as an Instagram chef? What is it? What does a day in the life of Priyansh, aka Prunch, look like?
I wake up, I wave to all my fans outside my balcony, and they're all just throwing stuff, you know, throwing
Tofu.
carrots, tofu, cucumber. No, I mean, it's a pretty boring. I mean, it's not that boring, but it's just maybe boring if you've already imagined a life for an Instagram person, you know.
Well,
It doesn't meet those expectations. I wake up, I make myself a matcha or a coffee, depending on how I'm feeling, and then I'd head to the studio, film 2 recipes, 3 if I'm feeling really ambitious.
What do you do with the food?
I eat it. Usually there's always other people in the studio, so either we have my team coming to help me film, or I just have a friend or someone just chill there while I'm cooking.
Nice.
It is kind of my safe space, so then I'll just like watch a show while I'm eating something, and then clean up, and then make another one, then clean up.
Cool.
Then I usually have a bunch of meetings after that lined up. So we'll do like meetings with brands, with restaurants, things like that, because I also do consulting. So I also develop menus for restaurants as well.
Amazing.
On the side.
Yeah.
So then we have that stuff, and come home, dinner, read, maybe listen to a podcast. I'm trying to sound really healthy right now, but
And
this is not like every day.
Fair. But do you post? Do you have a set content calendar? It's for posting.
No, I want to.
Yeah.
I want to, and I have one. I just never follow it.
Yeah, I
So
feel you.
me and the calendar are always, it's a love-hate relationship. Sometimes it works, like for Veganuary,
Yeah.
it's going to be daily content. So for something
Cool.
like that, it just has to
Wait,
make sense.
30 days of content.
That's the plan.
Oof. Okay. Amazing.
Hopefully this comes out.
Yeah, it makes sense because day 1 of Veganuary, day 2 of Veganuary. Yeah, like so you can actually.
Yeah, so we're going to do like daily, hopefully.
Nice.
So I start filming now.
Yeah.
And having a calendar helps because I know what order to start filming in and what I need to film.
Right.
Last year we did every day, and it just didn't. It worked, but it was just too hectic. Like I'd wake up and I'd be like, "What do I want to film today?" You know, and it was just not sustainable.
Yeah.
So this way, I get to pre-plan.
Nice.
Yeah.
What have been some of the biggest challenges being on an Instagram chef?
I think. So because it's food content, a lot of my audience is global.
Yeah.
And I don't really get to meet them. I think that's kind of like, I get to meet a lot of people here when I do events.
Yeah.
But a lot of my audience is in the States, is in the UK, is in Europe, in all those places. And so I seem to have like a phantom community that I never really get to physically, you know.
Yeah.
So, that is probably a challenge.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, obviously the money side of it, you don't always make a lot. It's like some months are amazing where you make more money than you would have imagined, and then some is just
right.
You make nothing. But the more you do it, the better you get at it. You then how to start looking at it as a business, which not a fan of. But then I get people in. I have like a manager, and I have people who now make sure that who are good at the money side of things that I'm not.
Yeah.
So
That's
then they help
important,
handle the business side of things.
Nice.
Yeah.
And since you're based in Dubai, so you're saying your audience is global, but you are based here in Dubai. Have you interacted with people here in Dubai, and how has it been with different cultures and who are trying vegan food, and just your experience with that?
Yeah, so what I want to do with Prunch is have multiple touch points. So we have Prunch Street, which is the super like affordable, accessible. We open up at like markets, and that one's aimed at younger people. And everything is under 50 dirhams, which is like 10 pounds or whatever. Everything on the menu is under that.
Amazing.
And we want them we want the young people to come and interact. And Prunch Street is meant to be like a lot cooler. There's like cool music.
Cool.
Everyone that works in and around Prunch Media is dressed a certain way. The way the menu is also meant to be really young and hip.
It's like a food truck?
Yeah, like the food truck concept, or
Yeah.
we do like kiosks, things like that.
Okay. Nice.
And then we have Plant, which is my supper club. So that one's like higher end.
Yeah.
So that one's aimed at adults. And that is 7 to 9 courses, sit down. It's usually at my house.
Cool.
And so that one is like for those people with a bit of money to spend on something like that. And then we've got a middle, which is restaurant pop-ups. So that's the kind of one that you came to.
Right.
Where we just take over a restaurant, serve a menu. And that one's a little bit between both.
You mean the PXB lifestyle?
Yeah, the PXB one that you came to. So that one's
The
like
first one.
a bit between. It's not quite Prunch Street and not Plant. It's
Got
a bit
it.
more casual.
Yeah.
So yeah, when we create multiple touch points, we get access to different audiences. And it's been really good. Almost everyone that comes to my events are non-vegans, which is amazing.
Cool.
And again, they see like what I wanted to always do is create a brand, and Prunch is now a brand. And so people want to be associated with something that's young, that's hip, that's fresh, whether or not they're vegan, right? They want to just be a part of this community that we're creating. And I want to create a community that people want to be a part of.
Very welcoming.
So yeah, it's been good. We've got a lot of different age groups, and we got a lot of different nationalities, and my menus are always just a mix of the different cultures that have made me growing up in a place like this.
Right.
So there's always something for everyone.
Cool. So you were recently at the COP28, which is really cool. I think you were talking to a lot of different climate change leaders. I think they all came to your food truck, tried your food. I think everyone was really impressed. And how was that experience? And also, how do you see veganism and plant-based food intersect with climate change, environmental sustainability, and all that?
Being at COP28 was unreal. I think it was much bigger than any of us anticipated. And having been a person that's gone vegan for the environment, for the climate, I think it was having my truck there was sort of a surreal experience. I think I'd pinch myself every morning walking in,
so nice.
Walking into Expo City, which is a beautiful site already. Walking in there, walking to my truck, it was just that feeling every morning that I'm a part of this. And yeah, I think I got to meet a lot of really interesting people, or people I look up to, a lot of climate activists that that I got to feed. It was incredible. And so we were in the PXP food truck park, which was a fully vegan food truck park, and there were 5 trucks that were vegan, and we knew people would feel a certain way about walking into a place like this where all their options are just plant-based. And yet we had long lines every day. Every single truck had long lines. That place was full, packed. And there were people coming in that didn't even know it was vegan. It said plant-based food truck park outside. But once you walk in, and that plant-based food truck park was so easy to miss. So if you walk in, it doesn't say vegan on anything.
Right.
We just made sure that none of the branding, it would say things like Impossible Patty, or it would say, cheese with a Z, things like that. We wouldn't use the word vegan unless we absolutely had to.
Right.
And so people would end up ordering this food not knowing it was vegan. We had a moment where someone took a bite out of one of my burgers, and this lady, she was holding a burger up, came running to the truck, and she was like, "Is this vegan?" And I was like, "Yes." She's like, "It tastes like meat." I was like, I know, but I promise you it's vegan. Everyone in that line was like, "I'll have a burger." So it was crazy that
oh my God.
Vegan foods come this far, and people feel differently about it. Almost everyone in that place was not vegan.
Was she though a vegan?
Yeah, she was vegan.
So that's why she was.
Yeah, she was genuinely concerned.
What was the patty made out of?
Impossible.
Yeah.
But we spiced it. It was a kofta burger, so we spiced it all in house. We made it different.
That can taste really real.
Yeah. What we did this year at COP as well is that next to each menu item, you could see the carbon footprint and the water usage.
Ooh.
So all our menu items came with stuff like that.
Yeah.
And at the end of this COP, there'll be a report of how much water we saved just as a whole.
Wow.
And I think we also make a good business proposal for future COPs, future climate
100%.
conferences that usually put vegan food out of the picture, which should go hand in hand, because they're always like, "Oh, it's too expensive, it's not profitable, blah blah." And now we would make a pretty good business case, and also an environmental case with all the numbers that we have in terms of the carbon usage, the footprint, the water usage, all that.
Amazing. So do you really advocate? You're very much environmentally and environmental advocate with your plant-based food.
Yeah. I think it's a no-brainer. I think plant-based foods. I'm also just the kind of person that wants people to just eat more plant-based food. Yeah. Even if they're not ready to fully transition, just try to see it differently at this point. Really try to train your brain to see that, hey, vegan food is just not all salads and soups and sorbets. We can do so much more than that. And once you start to train your mind to be like, it's just food. Right? It's just different food. And I get all these alternatives now, and I get to eat all this food. Then you can start to see yourself doing that transition much easier, if that is even in the cards for you.
It's so funny because when we're not vegan, you eat animal products. But I feel like once you turn vegan, you actually try so many more flavors than you did when you weren't vegan.
Agreed.
Right?
I've definitely eaten. And again, my transition was vegetarian to vegan.
Right.
And even in that, I've opened myself up to so many foods that I probably didn't try before.
Cool.
So
And
also vegan chefs have to be scientists as well. We have to come up with the new ways of doing things and cooking things and using ingredients in ways that people wouldn't assume, because we're obviously trying our best to fight a lot of stereotypes.
Yeah.
Every person that buys a ticket to come and sit at one of my dinners has thinks a certain way about vegan food. Because it's always just one person that's like, hey, I want to go to this event, and pulls like 3 non-vegan friends, right?
Right.
So usually it's only one person that's vegan on a table when they
Right.
book a ticket, and then they pull like 3 non-vegan friends because they're like, I want to go to this event. And so I have the job of making sure those 3 people don't feel like they've come to something that they don't want to come to,
Nice.
and how to change their mind. So
Yeah.
when I cook for those 3 people,
I love it.
because that one person is already on my side,
Yeah.
right?
Because one of my questions was going to be like, how do you promote vegan foods to non-vegans? But I think you kind of answered that with just
Just make it fun.
Yeah.
Make it fun. Make it interesting. Just make it what they don't expect it to be.
Right. I think you do a really good job with that. I've had
Thank
your
you.
food.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Amazing. Do you have any advice for people who want to eat more plant-based and what they should focus on in their cooking or?
Yeah, try to get a bunch of different foods in. Eat the rainbow. Get different
Nice.
colors. Get different proteins in, and try to focus on the natural proteins. Just chickpeas, lentils, tofu, all that, rather than the processed stuff. I know the processed stuff is super easy to cook with and tastes amazing, and it's great every once in a while.
Yeah.
But try to focus on the stuff that's natural. It tastes so much better, and you can do so much with it. Whereas a lot of the processed meats come with a very strong flavor of their own. There's not much you can do with that.
True.
But you can really experiment and broaden your horizons with just vegetables and fruits and all those things. So, and just follow a lot of vegan creators. There's so many incredible ones that are sharing amazing recipes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice. I was thinking about when you were talking about the food truck. Did you try Switch Foods? They were there as well.
I didn't try their truck, but I have tried their stuff
products,
from
right?
Yeah.
I recently tried, because you were talking about how the meat, the woman who came up to you to say, "Is this meat?"
Yeah.
So I tried their kofta, and it was so meaty. I actually couldn't eat it.
Yeah, it's great. The stuff happening in that sector is very interesting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great local brands as well
Yeah.
that are coming up, and international brands. And I've seen like a vegan salmon that looks just like salmon, like
Does it
the
taste
whole
like
fillet.
salmon?
I don't know. I haven't tasted it.
Oh, okay.
But you don't get it here. But I've seen like
Okay.
people cut it like salmon and use it in like sushi and stuff.
But what about that watermelon thing, though?
Yeah, the watermelon thing is cool.
Have you tried that?
I've made it at home.
And
It's cool.
is it like fishy?
Sure, but you gotta put in a lot of work.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of water. Like I've done a watermelon ham,
Wow.
and it takes forever to get all that water out. But once you get all that water out, it's super meaty.
What's the reason that people use watermelon? Is it because of the color, or
And
actually
it's
the
the shape.
texture?
And the texture is great. Like again, because it holds so much water,
Yeah.
you can marinate it,
Okay.
and then it gets rid of all of that watermelon juice,
Okay.
and swaps it with like whatever the fishy marinade or the meaty marinade that you put in.
And it actually tastes.
It's pretty cool. I actually served it at a vegan barbecue party
Oof.
for a bunch of like
Cool.
those people weren't vegan,
Yeah.
and they were like, "This is very interesting."
Nice. Because I imagine that if I see these recipes online, yes, they look on the reel on the Instagram. It looks like tuna sushi, for example, the watermelon.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, it's watermelon.
It's
so
also a lot of work
Is it gonna take?
because you got to get all that water out.
All right, and actually, you said that one of your, what's the word for that? Like, you create your recipes. You want them to have the least amount of work.
Yeah, you don't want people to watch
Yeah.
the reel and be like, "I'm gonna save it." But I
Never gonna
don't.
make it.
And a lot of people still do. A lot of people have come out to me and like, "I love your recipes. I've saved them. I've never actually tried yet, but I will." But you want to break that first barrier, right? You're not gonna save something that you're never gonna make.
Yeah.
You're not gonna look at something and be like, "I don't know. Like this is a special sort
Right.
of." There is a mix. There's
Yeah.
obviously stuff that is much more complex. But I'm trying to make it not complex for myself as well. If
Yeah.
I want to film like 3 recipes a day, it has to be something that's not going to take up too much time, not going to take up too many dishes.
True.
So in a way, it's a win-win for everyone, right? For me, it's like, okay, it's easy to make and film and edit. And for the person watching, it's like,
Nice.
okay, it's also easy to make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think you said that because I had a question when I met you the first time. I asked you about like tofu and what's your favorite to make it, and then I asked Oh, my question was, do you have to freeze it? Do you have to press it? Do you have to do all those things? And you were like, no, because that's too much time, and you don't want to have to start your meal the day
Like,
before.
Yeah, 3 days before. You know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you want to make this? You should have started yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, so there's like I boil my tofu. I feel like that's the best way to change that texture.
Yeah.
And it's so quick.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to start the day before. You just that boiling happens for like a minute.
Please tell
Then you
people
pull it
about
out.
this because.
Okay, so boiling tofu. I'm on this
Yeah.
journey right now, and I, as someone who loved paneer, boiling tofu gets rid of that briny flavor that tofu has because it sits in that brine,
Okay.
and it makes it a lot like bouncier and firmer, much like paneer.
Nice.
And so when you use tofu in like Indian dishes, boil it. Always boil it in like salty water,
Cool.
like you would do pasta,
Right.
but for a minute
Okay.
and a half, and then
Okay.
pull it out. You have a different product completely.
And then you make it, bake it.
Then yeah, you don't even have to like. I don't even then coat it in an air fried whatever. I don't even do it all of that.
Okay.
Like this is a finished product now. I can eat it straight.
Yeah.
I mean, I would eat tofu straight. Even
I
if
do.
yeah,
I
yeah,
eat raw
just
tofu.
eat bites.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
a
not
block of
kidding.
toad just walking around the house.
But I love what I
It's like
just love.
level 3000 vegan.
It's true, but actually, a lot of non-vegans do hate on tofu, and I think we need to recognize that tofu has amazing qualities and it can
I
change.
think I understand why people hate tofu because you would eat it at a restaurant sometimes and it's just not made the right way, or you eat it at someone's house and they just haven't done
Yeah,
all that due diligence
yeah,
to tofu.
but you can.
But you can. There's so many creators now that are using
Yes.
like I think every vegan creator I know
Oh yeah,
has a tofu series. So there's no excuse to now not know how to make tofu.
I love it.
Every
Yeah.
single person that I follow has a tofu
Yeah.
series. I have a tofu series. You know, so
Yeah, I even saw one person make a butter chicken type thing with tofu.
so common, right?
Yeah.
Like that's been around forever.
Not even butter chicken. Sorry, it was tandoori. It was like
Right.
actually tandoori sandwich chicken. Tandoori chicken sandwich.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I
insane.
want that now.
Yeah, I know.
Usually I haven't eaten all day, so
So I think my final couple questions to you. So what's next for you, and what's next for Prunch, and any upcoming projects you're excited about?
I mean Veganuary is coming.
Yeah.
So super busy with that, working with a lot of brands, a lot of restaurants, hopefully a few events, pop-ups, so that people can come and actually eat the food.
Nice.
In terms of long-term plans, I don't know, I've got too many.
Yeah.
I want to do a lot of things, and hopefully we can do all those things. This past year was crazy. It was possibly the best year I've had as Prunch.
Amazing.
And we're hoping that the next year would be even bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, until we take over the world.
Yes.
So
I love
yeah,
it.
I mean, in terms of like goals that I can tell you about, I don't like. I don't want to tell you something that's not even happened yet.
Well, what would you want?
I mean, I'd love
Brunch
to.
to be-
I'd love to be on every restaurant menu. You know, I want every restaurant menu to have a Prunch option.
Cool.
That would be cool, right? Like where you can go to a restaurant and you're like, I can trust this.
Yeah.
You know, rather than a vegan option, there's like a Prunch option,
I love
which
that.
you already know. You know, so then that would be
Cool.
really cool to have sort of a food travel show based around like veganism. That would be cool. I love watching food travel shows. None of them are vegan, so that would be
Very
amazing.
cool. Yeah.
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So yeah, there's like already so many different directions that I want to take this in.
Would you ever want your own restaurant?
I get asked this a lot.
I can imagine that's the one thing that people,
I don't
ask
know
you.
yet. I feel like I have a very specific vision about a restaurant. At this stage, I just want to have fun.
Yeah.
And if there's a way I can disrupt that industry, then I would do it. But if I would just be another restaurant, probably not want to do it at this stage.
Yeah.
So yeah, hello,
Maybe.
little guest. Do you want to say something?
She's here for it, for all of it, for your future projects. She's she's like yes. Do you have one final message you'd like to leave with the listeners today?
Keep an open mind. Don't think you know everything about everything. follow vegan accounts on Instagram, food accounts. You know.
Do you recommend any from the top of your head? I think all the plant boys. I really like them.
Yeah, they're all great.
All the creators.
They're all great.
Fit Green
all
Mind.
good. Free Green Mind's great.
Sorry, I'm just saying this now.
No,
I
of
asked
course.
you the question.
No. I mean, I'm also trying to think. There's so many amazing ones.
There's so
Just
many.
everyone I follow, go follow them.
Okay.
I follow a lot
that's-
of vegan creators,
that's a good
so
advice.
just go through my followers, follow them. They're all amazing.
Yeah.
If I'd start to name, like, we'd be here for days. I love all of them dearly.
Yeah.
We've all got a little community of just like creators that are vegan. Oh, she's having a great time.
She likes you.
And yeah, love animals.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of messages I'm ending this on, but
And where can people find you?
I am at Prunch me
Yes.
on all platforms. Yeah, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok,
And podcast now.
Threads, podcast coming soon. We have a podcast.
Yeah.
It's been inactive for a while, but it'll come back
Brunch
next year,
with Brie.
hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Thank you.
thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you. It's really
Thank you for having
amazing.
us.
Yeah. And thank you to everyone who tuned in today to the Changemakers podcast.
Yes.
And see you in the
Thank you
next
for
one.
listening.
Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Changemakers podcast. My name is Farahamberh, and I hope that you enjoyed the episode. If you did, it would really mean the world to me if you could rate the podcast, and also remember to follow the podcast to stay updated on new episodes. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.